Carolina. Dr. Murphy is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that this is a great meeting. This is a bipartisan issue. This is basically what has happened. We have lost the trust of the American people. And there are egregious examples on both sides of the aisle in all branches of how we, as members elected either or in positions of power, have abused the position of authority and privilege. And that's why we're here today. I'm going to give one example that I think is the most egregious of all of these, and this is not to impugn the individual, but it is to impugn the activity. The Washington Examiner published an article stating about the following about Ms. Pelosi trading stocks. In 2021, her husband Paul bought $1.9 million in Tesla call options the day before Biden announced the EV infrastructure plans that sent Tesla up 20%. In 2023, he traded between 1 and 5 million in stocks in semiconductors mere days before Congress allocated $52 billion for the industry. And in 2024, he sold 2,000 shares of Visa stock a couple months before the DOJ announced its antitrust lawsuit. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter that into the record.
Without objection.
When you have someone who comes here with a few $1 million and leaves with close to $300 million, and you see blips and blips and blips in their activity, there is something wrong. There is something wrong. So there are egregious examples on both sides of the aisle, and I'm glad that this is a bipartisan effort to bring some responsibility here to Congress. I'm going to submit something different because I think we're trying to make this more difficult than it really needs to be. I'm just a dumb surgeon, so we try to make things very, very simple for us. Why would we not say, okay, you come to Congress, what you did before, leave be? Why do you have to divest? Why do you have to do all this other stuff? Why can you not just have then your day in Congress, you start here, you cannot have undue influence moving forward? Because we create such a massive bureaucratic tax event that's unnecessary. You don't have to change anything you've done in the past. Leave it be. What I personally did, I took everything out and I put them in directed by Vanguard mutual funds. I don't have anything touched with that. That's me, what I did moving forward, so I would be beyond reproach that no one could ever say I manipulated this. Why would we not do that? Why would we not say, okay, what you've done in the past is what's your business, but as a member of Congress, you cannot exert anything undue influence, and if you invest anything further, it would be in mutual funds, et cetera. Why would we create this massive bureaucracy? Love to have your answer.
I would say in principle, I don't actually hate that idea. I think one of the things that I spoke about in my opening statement is the perception of impropriety. And I think with a proposal that you just put forth, freezing everything, don't touch it, leave it be, and come back to it when you're out of office, leaves open the option that members of Congress would come in and vote based on the interests of those pre-existing holdings. So I think that's a little bit where divestiture becomes perhaps more wise, but in principle, I don't actually dislike that proposal.
I just think if you're asking someone, good Lord, if they're ancient like I am in their 60s and they've spent so many years accumulating different things, and you're asking for such a huge capital gains, putting on my Ways and Means hat, such a capital gains event, to the point of people making only so much in Congress, it's a huge, huge tax load. And good Lord, you know, we haven't had raises in years, fine, whatever. But why would we not try to simplify this? And I do have another question, and maybe this has been answered before. How do we monitor the family members of members of Congress or in the judiciary or whatever branch? How is that done separately from what we do now? This is merely edifying me. I don't understand. I don't know that. Can somebody answer that? Because my son doesn't believe a damn thing I say anyway, and so he hasn't for years and years, and if I ever said anything about stocks, he would just say, Dad, shut up.
Individuals who are required to file financial disclosure reports or periodic transaction reports under the Ethics in Government Act or the Stock Act also have to report for their spouse or their dependent children.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks. Again, why do we make this is a challenge for both of us. This is a bipartisan thing, and I believe it restores the ability of the American people to trust us at least a little bit in some particular regard. There are egregious examples that we just saw one here. We talk about them on both sides of the aisle. I applaud this effort. I hope our Senate colleagues will do the same. Let's make it as simple as possible so our senators don't try to change things. So I would submit that that would be the best plan. I'll yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman yields back. The gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Johnson, is recognized for 5 minutes.